The Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge is an inspirational podcast spreading positive energy and only good vibes into the universe through personal discovery, empowerment, and self-love awareness. Now, please join me in the Sexy Cool Lounge with our creator and host, Jimmy IV.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you might be listening and or watching this episode, right? Yeah, we've kind of changed some things up a little bit, family. Wow. But listen, wherever you are, I hope your vibe is cruising at an altitude that is so sexy cool. All right. As always, at the beginning of every episode, I want to give thanks to each and one of you on this journey with me, right? Thank you for giving me your time, your positive energy, and allowing me to sprinkle just some good vibes only along your journey through the universe, right? If you are so inclined, man, you can go back and check out any one of our episodes between 1 and 100, right? You can go on over to the website at www.sexycoollounge.com. We have had some amazing guests come through this studio, and I'm sure that we have something in our catalog that will fuel your soul, all right? And hey, check out the podcast on any one of your favorite podcast platforms. We are on all of them all around the world. All right. And if you're on social media, wow. Yeah. Instagram, give us a follow over at Sexy Cool Lounge. We'll follow you back. Hit me up in the DM every now and then. Let me know what you're feeling. All right. And always, you can find me on Facebook. And yes, we do for 2023 have the Sexy Cool Lounge YouTube channel. Going over there, see my pretty face as you listen to my voice, right? Hit the notification button. Give us a like. Share something in the comments, man. Let me know what you're feeling, what you want me to vibe on in the future, and I will definitely give it consideration to make it happen for you guys, all right? Because I could not do this without you. And before I forget, right, I want to give a shout out to Austria, the country Austria, because they have come on board with the Sexy Cool Lounge with downloaded episodes. We are at 65 now, y'all, and counting to 100. So let's keep spreading the word, getting the vibe out there to other people. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. All right. Oh, and last things all, if you got Alexa, hey, ask Alexa, play Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge podcast, and she'll make that happen for you as well. All right. Woo, man, that's a mouthful. But housekeeping is out of the way. And let's get on to what we got to get on to, right? Episode number 101. So the title of this episode is Your Power, right? The acceptance vibe. And I've had a few things happen recently, right? And I want to kind of share my thoughts on acceptance, right? And I think we've all had an opportunity in our lives to be a part of acceptance, whether it's comfortable acceptance of something or uncomfortable acceptance. And what I mean by that is we can accept a compliment from someone, right? But sometimes when things are uncomfortable, we are unwilling to accept the reality of what that is, right? And sometimes we need to move on. Sometimes we need to make executive decisions on things, but we're unwilling to accept the reality of it, right? And I want to share something with you before we start deep diving into this episode. So let's define what acceptance is for all general terms, okay? So in my mind, acceptance is it's like when a person uh, accepts the reality of a situation, okay, recognizing a process or a pattern or a condition, okay, and sometimes it can be negative, and sometimes, like I said, it can be uncomfortable, right? um, but the situation goes without any type of change in it or protest of it, You accept it for what it is. Okay. So the way I want to use acceptance in this episode is your power, right, will either amplify the light in others or it's going to trigger the shadow in them, right? And what I mean by that is that either way, right, if it's the light or if it's shadows in a particular person, how they respond to it has everything to do with them and it has nothing to do with you. And that is something that we have to accept, right? Everybody has responsibilities and accountabilities, okay? And sometimes things are the way that they are, and we have to accept that. That is part of our power, okay? So, what I want you to do, what I want to challenge you with in this episode is examine what you tolerate, right? And why. Because in my mind, what you put up with is what you end with, right? And we had a couple of episodes somewhere around midway through the catalog where we shared information on you teach people how to treat you, right? So now we're getting to the acceptance part. We're getting to the point where we're going to set the tone, right? We're in control of how people are going to be with us, right? But their reactions to the things that we do, they're in control of, and we have to accept that. All right. What you allow continues. Okay. I need you guys to like start reevaluating your worth and who you share that with. Because I'm a big proponent on being loyal to your future, right? And not your past. And what I mean by that in the way of acceptance is the past is the past. And as it relates to someone's behavior towards you, okay, we have to accept it for what it is. And sometimes we make excuses, sometimes we allow them, okay? Again, what I just said, what you put up with is what you end up with. And sometimes we allow people to do certain things, say certain things to us. We excuse their behavior in certain situations when we know that we shouldn't. Okay. So I want to make sure that we are on the right path to identifying acceptance of situations, right? The good ones as well as the bad ones, and making sure that as we continue on our journey, that we're moving in a positive way that is beneficial for us. All right. Sometimes it's not your fault if someone can't communicate and open up with you, right? We have to accept that for what it is. Sometimes we beat our heads against the wall and we try to force someone to understand, or we try to jump through hoops to get them to understand. And sometimes, family, we got to just accept it for what it is. All right. I think there's a saying that says you can't put a, a, a square peg in a round hole, right? We have to accept it for what it is, right? And sometimes you can, and I hate to say this, but sometimes you can give someone everything that you have to give and it still isn't enough. How many times have we been there, family, right? And we go back to acceptance. We have to accept it for what it is. I got an email a couple of days ago, and someone wanted me to highlight the tattoo that I got, right? And if you're on social media, you guys know a couple of months ago, I got a new tattoo and it says honor my boundaries, right? And they weren't really sure what I meant by that and why I actually had it put on my forearm, my right forearm, as a tattoo. Okay. So I thought this would be a really good episode in acceptance to highlight what honor my boundaries is all about. Because I think we can all relate to it when I start to deep dive and break it down for you, right? So honor my boundaries, and it could be your boundaries as well. But my point of view of it is this: I am setting the tone, I am drawing the line in the sand, I am putting value on my boundaries, right? Meaning that I will communicate them to you, right? I'm not going to have you jump through hoops for my boundaries because I value them for what they are. And if I have value on them, I need to communicate them to you so we're in an understanding of my boundaries. And then that applies respect to what I put value on in my boundaries. Okay. So when I say honor my boundaries, it means please respect them. If I don't communicate them to you, then that is on me. And I will make sure that I communicate my boundaries. But if I have communicated them to a person, then I need you to honor them, because if you don't honor them, then the acceptance that you didn't honor them, I have to now accept. And then from that, there's a domino effect of what executive decisions am I going to make as a result of it? Okay. So to give you an example, let's say uh, companionship, right? And you're with a companion, and for some reason they go missing in action. I call it being MIA, right, in a relationship, right? And it could be phone calls, it could be uh, not talking to each other for a couple of days or whatever, right? I'm not a person that would want that in any relationship, right? So if I say to you, hey, I really would appreciate if you keep in touch. But if you choose to go MIA for a couple of days and not think that it's of value to reach out and just say, hey, how you doing? Whatever. And I'm not saying that I don't. I'm saying on your behalf, right? But if I communicate that and then you still do what you kind of want to do, then that to me is not honoring my boundaries. My boundaries are where I want to be and what I feel comfortable with as it relates to a companion or friendship or whatever. And I'm just using that in like the broad general terms, because boundaries can be whatever you want them to be that you feel comfortable with as it relates to interacting with other people, right? It's a healthy place. So I'm just using that in that respects. You can make it out to be whatever you want it to be. But the point that I'm really trying to get to, family, is I need you guys to start putting value on the word boundaries. To me, it's honor my boundaries. Okay. I think there are times when we say things because it's good to hear. And sometimes when we hear it, it may make us feel good for a moment. But honestly, if we don't really have a value point set on it, then when we really need to apply it, right? How often do we actually backslide on what we said, right? So the actual title of this episode is Your Power, the Acceptance Vibe, right? Your power is understanding the value and the worth, not only when you apply it to accepting the reality of something, family, but also putting value on the boundaries within the acceptance, right? Give you an example. Somebody comes in and you say, okay, well, my boundary is this, right? Well, your boundary can't be their boundary. Because if they end up turning your boundary into their boundary, then they may put a different value on your boundary because now they think it's theirs. No, it's yours, right? And you have to make sure that as you move forward, that there's a value system put on it. But a lot of that then goes back to knowing your self-worth, accepting yourself for who you are and knowing what your value is, right? So I'm just challenging each and every one of you listening to this episode, okay? Understand that your power is acceptance, okay? I'm not saying it in like negative ways that you accept this or you accept that. Absolutely not. But even when you don't accept certain things in life, it's because there's a value system put on you and your self-worth. You don't accept everything, but some things in life you do have to accept the reality of it. And there's where I'm trying to make the difference, right? Sometimes we beat ourselves up against the wall. Like I said, we jump through crazy hoops in certain situations because we just don't want to accept the reality, right? So let's just make sure that as we're moving forward, that we're really truly honing in on the acceptance, right? And understanding the value that that really has on our journey. I want to put a I want to put out a new rule, right? And I need you guys to really hear me on this. Play it back if you need to, write it down if you want to, okay? But here's a new rule. Remember, your power, the acceptance vibe. So here's the new rule, all right? We're going to finish out 2023 with this rule, okay? Let this be the last year, the last month, the last week, the last day, the last hour, and the last minute that you tolerate unsupportive friends, family, and fake love. Man, how powerful was that? And I'm going to read that again because I needed to sink in and I needed to marinate with each and every one of you on a vibrational frequency. So let's read it again. Let this be the last year, the last month, the last week, the last day, the last hour, and the last minute that you tolerate unsupportive friends, family, and fake love. Okay. The acceptance of that is that no longer will you allow all of those different frequencies to influence or disturb your peace, if you will. All right. Until you value yourself, family, you won't value your time. How about that? Until you value yourself, okay? Until you value yourself, acceptance. You have value, accept that. And until you do that, you won't value your time. And how many times have you guys heard me say, what? Energy is currency. Time is currency. And I don't have any of it to waste. And I share that with you guys because I don't want you wasting your energy and I don't want you wasting your time. There are certain things in life that we will learn from, certain things that we need to grow from. Absolutely. Okay. But the negativeness, the toxic nature of certain situations and people, absolutely not. Sometimes we just need to accept it for what it is and we just need to move on, family. We need to move on. So until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. And that's exactly what I was just talking about, right? Until you value yourself, you won't value your time. And until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. So as we accept certain things in life, let's make sure that as we move forward, family, man, We're keeping everything in perspective. That's my challenge to you guys in this episode. Understanding that you have power. And part of your power is acceptance. It's acceptance, right? Know what to accept and know what not to accept. And the more that we are in control of that acceptance, the reality, all right, we put more value on our time and we're able to manage our time in a more constructive way. And the more that we do that, in my opinion, it helps to create self-worth and self-value, right? So let's make sure that we're challenging ourselves each and every day on that particular vibe as we move forward, right? Because in my opinion, that if we stay in tune with all of that, then we stay in alignment with our own vibration. And once we do that, then we can let people meet us there. You see what I'm saying? You see how we kind of went from the beginnings of understanding what acceptance was, and now we're at the point where we stay in alignment with our own vibrational frequency, family, and we will make people, we will show them how to come to us. Not in a conceited, cocky way. Absolutely not. It is about your self-worth. And we said, until you value yourself, you won't value your time. And how are we ending this episode? Stay aligned with your own vibrational frequency, family, and let people meet you there. Any questions about this, family? Shoot me an email, sexycoolloungepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll figure it out together, right? I love you guys. Keep on shining, keep on vibing, and let's make sure that we are loving ourselves enough to radiate our vibe. Love yourself enough to radiate your vibe, family. And let's always never forget, even though we do not have as much as others, man, we still have more than others. So let's continue to put good vibes into this universe so we can always get good vibes back. I'm Jimmy IV. I love you guys. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Continue to spread positive energy and good vibes only, man. And I will see you on the next episode.